How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode here on NHL 24. Moving into episode number 31, the 2031 draft and off-season, coming off of an incredible postseason run last episode as we won our second Stanley Cup in franchise history. Through our 8 years with the Canucks in this franchise mode series, we made our third Stanley Cup final in the last 6 years, and it was our second Stanley Cup victory, doing so in a date with destiny 2 decades later against the Boston Bruins. In round number 1, we took down the Oilers in a 5-game series, then the Flames again another 5-game series, taking down those 2 Canadian rivals. In the Western Conference Final, we beat the Coyotes in 6 before facing the Bruins in the Cup Final to beat them in 6 as well. So we went 5-5-6-6, a pretty smooth postseason, but it was very odd considering that we went 41, 27, and 14 in the regular season. Through our 8 years with the Canucks, those 41 wins tied for the second least amount of games we've ever won, but at the same time, those 27 losses were the second least amount of losses we've ever had. So really, there's a lot of bad luck in the overtimes and the shootouts throughout the season. We knew that we were a better team than our record showed, and we showed it in the postseason. In the playoffs, Elias Pettersson won the Conn Smythe with 32 points in 22 games from our first-line center, Cornerstone, winning his first Conn Smythe, 14 goals, 18 assists, a great postseason campaign from him. But not to be forgotten, we had some other point-per-game plus players. Frederick Lundqvist in his sophomore season, the 19-year-old, scored 13 goals and 25 points, now up to a 90 overall. Our captain, Quinn Hughes, scored 24 points in 22 games. And aside from that, other very impressive performances. Lekkerimäki and Markstrom both with 20 points apiece. Aatu Räty with 18 points. Rocket Räty with his second Stanley Cup ring. Michael Rasmussen, who we picked up close to the deadline, didn't have the at the halfway point we got him. He had 10 points in 41 games. That is a 20-point pace over 82 games. Yet in the postseason, he scored 17 in 22. He really turned on the Jets. He gets his Stanley Cup ring. Noah Dobson, who we also picked up at the halfway point a couple episodes ago, he was a crazy pickup. Not go through the whole story again, but 11 points in 36 games with the Islanders. On the trade block, the Islanders looking to revamp a lot of what they're doing on their team. We pick up Dobson, and he scores 35 points in just 40 games, close to point per game, once he came here to Vancouver as a plus 18 as well. Getting a little bit less ice time in that second pair role, but it seems to really be fitting what he does as a player, so we're looking forward to hopefully having that continue into year number 9. Owen Tippett, 15 points. Podkolzin, postseason Podkolzin, as always, showing up when it matters the most. This guy scores 20, 25 points a year, but in the postseason, 14 and 22, 10 and 17, 10 and 22, 55 points and 111 postseason games in his career. Close to pretty much a point every other game. In the regular season, 244 and 772. So still a great performer in the regular season, but when it comes to the postseason, he just loves to turn it on. Hronek, 14. Chinnikov, we picked up at the deadline, had 11 points. Goldman, 9. Hanifin, 6 as our veteran back there on the blue line. Peak with 3, and when it came to the goaltending, Hunter Jones led us to another Stanley Cup. Not quite the same numbers as when he led us to the Stanley Cup the first time, when he put up historic numbers, the best in NHL history, one might say, in 2028, going 16-4-2, the same record as this year. 5 less shutouts as he got 3 instead of 8, but hey, I'll still take a .922 save percentage and 2.55 goals against average, no problem with me. So it was a great postseason run, and now we head into the offseason looking to build off of this in a different way than we did last time. When we won the Stanley Cup in 2028, it was a goodbye to the core that we started with. JT Miller, Andrei Kuzmenko, it was a goodbye to that core. Now, this is the first Stanley Cup of this core. About half the team in this 2031 lineup was getting their second ring, meaning they were also here in 2028. But many players weren't here. Lundqvist, Markstrom, Dobson, Tippett, Chinnikov, Rasmussen, Goldman, a good number of players who weren't here back in 2028, who are now part of the core moving forward into 2031. Some yes, some no. Definitely moving forward, Lundqvist, Markstrom, Dobson, these are new pieces of our inner circle. So now, moving into the 2031-32 season, we want to build a dynasty around this younger core. Yes, Dobson's 31 might not be around as long, but we know that Markstrom, Lundqvist, these are guys who still have a decade plus to go here in Vancouver. On top of our already existing core that still has a good number of years left. Hughes, Pedersen, Ratu, they're not quite 34, 35 just yet. So all that to say, we're moving into this offseason without any major work to do, but there are a few tweaks to make as we have some expiring contracts, not quite enough money for everybody. As if we look at the extension dollars available, we'll have about 24-ish million. Rasmussen, Hanifin, Peak, Neighbors, all expiring contracts on top of Leonov, our backup goalie. It'll be a bit difficult to swing everybody, not just money-wise, I should say, but also position-wise. As in our system, we have players who need to make the jump in this next season. Wallace, Sedor, maybe Beaulieu. Of course, we have Bouillon here. Bouillon wasn't, for some reason, the game sent him down, so we couldn't see his numbers. But if you're curious about Maxime Bouillon, our third-pair defenseman, 8 points and a plus 10 in 22 games from him. Hopefully, he can have an increased role this next year if Hanifin moves down or even leaves. But just to say, all those players, even this one at the bottom here, was it Tupkin right here, all players need to make the team this next season, or at least have a chance to. So as we move into the offseason, we have to keep in consideration our forwards as of now, under contract, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in Tupkin, 9 in Tupkin, 10 in Goldman, and that leaves 2 more spots if we're to look at Akuratu, Beaulieu, Montoya, Sedor, Brown, Dominguez, etc. 2 spots left for them. That's not taking into consideration. Maybe we want to bring back Michael Rasmussen, who had an incredible postseason. Maybe Jake Neighbors comes back, who's been good depth for us long-term as well. Couturier as fourth-line center depth. So a lot of different ways to go with it. On defense, under contract, again, 1, 2, 3, no problem. Who is in that 4th spot? Is it Maxime Beaulieu, who, yes, is a 78 overall, but really, does he simulate like one? It's sad that he hasn't grown at all. It makes no sense that he's still 78, but he has 2 full NHL seasons under his belt, 33 points in his career. He hasn't eaten big minutes just yet, but could this be the year where we give him that chance to do so? That's why I'm thinking maybe Bouillon gets a chance as second pair left D, and Noah Hanifin, although we thought we'd be moving on from him, maybe we try to sign him to a 1-year contract to keep him as just a steady third pair guy, but B, also as someone who could slot into the top 4 in an emergency situation if Bouillon's not cutting it. Peak probably walks. Lebedev could be depth for us as well, but we could be in the market for a defenseman, maybe a second or a third pair defenseman. Goaltending, Hunter Jones will continue as our starter, you would think, but will Leonov continue as our backup, or do we see one of our medium elite prospects make the jump? Could Rainer Muller, even though he's 24, he's elite potential 77, could he try to get a look as backup in the NHL? And then in the AHL, we have 2 of 3 of Zubov, Bykov, and Esch. Lots of questions for us, so sorry for the longer than usual recap. All that being said, let's move into what the assistant general managers had to say in the last one and the comments that were left. First and foremost, many people were just enthralled, impressed, and just blown away as per usual by playoff Podkolzin. Wild Bronco leaving a comment saying a letter for playoff Podkolzin, maybe a born leader X factor. So currently our captain's Quinn Hughes and our alternates are Elias Pettersson and Aturatu. I don't think I want to take away an alternate from either of those players to give it to Podkolzin. He signed on for 4 more years. He's a part of this team. He's going to continue to have those performances for us and be called upon in those big moments. He has a future with an alternate captaincy or a captaincy if one of those 3 were to ever leave for whatever reason. Unfortunately, the game does not allow you to have a 4th or a 3rd alternate, which makes no sense, unfortunately. But in our minds, we could say that we're giving him an alternate captaincy, and to add to him, because we can't give him the letter, just as a little thank you for all that he does. We don't usually add the X factors, but this is one that wouldn't be added otherwise. So for the most part, I let the game add and remove X factors now in NHL 24 since the game does it, but I will be adding the born leader X factors to Vasily Podkolzin. It wasn't just a one postseason cool performance kind of thing. He is consistent, and he has had a huge impact on not only our postseason runs, but our 2 Stanley Cup victories. So Vasily Podkolzin will have that X factor moving forward, and in our minds, he will also be wearing an A on his jersey, and if and when the day comes, he will actually get that letter when it becomes available. Moving over to this comment from Eloi Morin, who said, wow, what an incredible run from the boys. I must say this is probably the most well-rounded playoff run I've seen in your franchises ever. A lot of beautiful stories from the Ratu brothers, Markstrom's redemption, Dobson, Chinnikov and Rasmussen additions, the Great Wall of Jones, and even low-key Tippett all showing off in a battle of the ages against the Bruins. Just wow. I'm not sure how we can replicate such a clean run, but I put my trust in the young core that hopefully will provide the same excitement that I had throughout this episode. Are you not entertained? P.S. I'd say trade down to an early second round pick. I'm intrigued with Ulevich. We'll look at the prospects later on. Just his name screams warrior. Plus he's Canadian, and you could use some young depth competition at defense to show that no one's spot is assured. For Bouillon, I would not be sad to see him stay as a third pair to bring back Hanifin at least one more year, and ultimately let his spot be taken next year or the year after. I think that was our thought kind of last season. At this point this year, Bouillon at 21, he's got to grow or he's going to get moved out pretty much. But we'll see what happens over the course of this offseason and the offseason growth, blah, blah, blah. Great episode as always. I have faith in Data and the GMs to make it great again. Merci beaucoup, Eloi. Thanks for your thoughts. Building on what I just said about Bouillon, I'm going to hop over to Gabin's comment. As always, so much sustenance and material in these comments. I read through them all. I reply to every thought, but on the episode, I can't always get through everything. Gabin said, glorious. The Stanley Cup has come to Vancouver at last. What an incredible postseason from the boys. Honestly, a really good playoffs from EA too. The Voodoo decided to mostly leave us be for a bit. Nice to see us actually win series that should be slam dunks. So many good storylines as always. Playoff Bud Colson, Brickwall Jones, Pedersen and Hughes leading the offense, Rasmussen finally giving us return on investment. It just all came together. I can't wait for when Ratu, Podkolzin, Jones, and others can be inducted rightfully into the Data Hall of Fame. Overall, great postseason, boys, and enjoy your day with the cup. So hopping on down, some thoughts on the offense given, but I want to jump to the defense. Gavin says for the defense, I think Hanifin walks. He's done us well, but he's priced himself out. It'll come down to the money on Hanifin. In theory, it would be great to keep him, but it might come down to the money. Assuming Peak is also gone, that would leave Hughes, Hronik, Bouillon, Dobson, question marks, and Wallace. I think that question mark could be Hanifin, but it'll depend on the money. That's me saying that. Back to Gavin. Bouillon needs to move up, in my opinion, to that second pair. We need to foster his growth, or he'll stay at an 80 overall forever. He's actually at a 78 even, right? He won't grow on the third pair, so it's now or never. If he doesn't work out, we can always trade him. Wallace can easily replace Peak. I like him, but too expensive. For third pair left D, I think we should bring in a responsible defensive defenseman or two-way D through free agency to help out Wallace and take some weight off his shoulders. Again, personally, I think that's Hanifin, but it comes down to the price. Gavin likes for Hervey or Haig on a 1 or 2 year deal, maybe even Mikey Anderson, Siegenthaler. But the only problem with that is in 2031 free agency, those free agents probably want what Noah Hanifin is asking for, if not more. In a perfect world, to go a little bit younger, pay a little bit cheaper, yes. But in this 2031 franchise mode universe, it might be the same price or even cheaper to stick with Hanifin, and he's a guy we already know, a storyline that we like, as opposed to bringing in someone brand new and hoping they work out and giving him a contract that might not be as team-friendly. So some questions to see there in the re-sign phase and free agency for sure, but I agree with what Gavin's saying about Bouillon moving up for sure. Other than that, great video data. I was punching the air in math class when Pedersen scored in overtime. As the best GM in sports, enjoy your day with the cup, and I'll see you in the offseason. Go Nucks. Gavin, thank you so very kindly. Now, speaking of Bouillon moving up in the lineup, there's another player we have to consider moving up in the lineup, and that's Stefan Markstrom. As Zach says in this comment, a reply to a previous comment as well, Zach says, Pedersen. What excellent play from him. He definitely showed why he's a top player in the league. I'm curious about trying an experiment with him next season. I'd like him tried as the second line center and Markstrom up to first line center. Pedersen, while he played great, is starting to get a little older. I think if he goes second line with Unit 1 power play and Unit 1 penalty kill, his ice time should still be around 20 minutes a night, which will be good for him. As second line center, he'll have a little bit of a reduced role, but should face lesser opposition and maybe perform better. That allows for Markstrom, the future of our first line center spot, to take over as first line center. Right now he's getting like 17, 18 minutes. His ice time will be a nice bump, and as a 92 overall, he should perform well, especially with Lundqvist and Lekaramaki. I think the extra ice time could see him flourish back up to a 90-point player like he was the season prior to this one, and maybe a bump in overall if he can put up those points. Additionally, Podkolzin getting some sort of X factor, that's exactly what we did. I think that's it for my thoughts. Excellent video data, amazing watch. Thank you for that, Zach. So it's a good point again. Pedersen can play the wing, so we could play around with it a little bit, but then the question would be who plays center on the second line. So Aturatu is center eligible, but with his, 72 face-offs? Yeah, 72 face-offs. He's never been great when we've put him at center. Some seasons we've tried him there like more full-time than other seasons. Just career 43.04 on the face-off percentage. Not ideal percentages if he's going to be playing so much ice time. So I would think 1 and 2 have to be Pettersson and Markstrom, or Markstrom and Pettersson. But does that hurt, as Pettersson's a 94 overall who just won the Conn Smythe? If we still give him all that ice time in the power play and the penalty kill, does it matter as much? He had an 88-point season. He's not a big 100-plus point guy, but we are very curious to see what could Markstrom do as first-line center with more ice time. 91 points in his first season with us, but 63 this last year, as the ice time wasn't as ideal, even in between the 2 years. Just less than 18 minutes in both those seasons. Give him 20-plus minutes as a playmaker with, 90 passing, 5-star puck skills. Put him with Lundqvist and Lekkerimäki, or whoever else are the shooters with Lundqvist and whoever else, and that could be very interesting. So it's hard to decide right now, but just throwing it out there, I wouldn't mind trying to get Markstrom onto that top line. And for the rest of our forward core, if we go and just take an excerpt out of Cheating Heel's novel, Cheating Heel says, I think that our top 6 is pretty much locked in at this time, and I'm not against keeping the third line as it is, although I'm not sure I want to commit this much money to Rasmussen. Chinakhov hasn't been impressive after we acquired him, but his playoff run was very good and could warrant us keeping him, unless we have a prospect that needs the ice time, which I think we do. But we'll have a couple of openings on the fourth line as well, with Barabanov gone, and Akuratu, who can move to 13th or 14th forward if we want to bring the prospects up. Guys like Tyupkin, Sador, Montoya, Beaulieu, they're all serious candidates for fourth line minutes next year, so we probably need to push Akuratu aside. Does Tyupkin have high enough face-offs attribute to be a third line center? Even as a wing, I believe he has 78 or 79 face-offs, so that's a possibility there. That would really help us out. Otherwise, we'll need a third line center if we let Rasmussen walk. All of our prospects are wingers, unless Akuratu moves to third line center, but I don't think we want that. So more thoughts on that comment that I replied to. Thank you as always, Cheating Heel. But a good point is raised about Tyupkin. Even though he's a winger, like Ratu's a center who we play on the wing because of his attributes, Tyupkin can be a winger we play at center because of his attributes. He has 79 face-offs. So instead of having to go out and acquire a centerman, or feeling that we're forced to re-sign Rasmussen, even if we do re-sign Rasmussen, Tyupkin could play third line center. So in our bottom 6, we could see whatever, forgetting the positions, if we just think about who are those 6 players. As of now, it could be Chinakhov, Rasmussen, Podkolzin, Tyupkin, Goldman, and fill in the blank. But if we were to move out one or more of Rasmussen, Chinakhov, that opens up more spots for these younger players. And I think I do feel a bit inclined in that direction, as at a certain point, we've seen it many times before, these players will plateau if not given the opportunity. So in my mind, Beaulieu, Montoya, Sador, at least those 3 are going to be fighting for 1 or 2 spots. The other 1 or 2 go to the AHL, and then the year after we reevaluate again. But I don't think we can really excuse keeping Chinakhov and Rasmussen at this time, 2 players who are 30 or over, when we have prospects, good prospects, who are pushing for ice time. So again, more to consider. So sorry for the longer than usual intro here, but coming off of the Stanley Cup into a big off season, we got to make sure that we do our due diligence in hearing what each of the AGMs have to say. Thanks again to the many other AGM comments who don't always get featured, but they're always replied to, they're read, they're discussed, and they do always go a very long way in our decision-making process. So when we look at the draft itself, I believe we have pick number 27. We don't have our own first, we have Chicago's first. At 27, we could take a medium top 4D. Maybe there's a medium top 6 forward, but this little stretch of top 9s, not impressive whatsoever. So I wouldn't be surprised if we trade down a little bit. Taro Kuka could be an interesting guy here. 3-year away, medium top 6 power forward with ace shooting already. That could be very interesting for us. Also listed as a gem. But on top of that, there's already Cameron Keefe, also a power forward, medium top 6 with the gem and the ace shooting, just listed a little bit lower down. So it comes down to one's a right winger who's 6'3", and one's a left winger who's 6'2". I don't know, Kuka is ranked a little bit higher, so maybe that's something, but just there's a bunch of top 6 forwards, even this guy Chris Henrik as well. We can't take them all. You would think we only get one of these guys, and then later on, if you look by who's pinned, there are a good number of pinned players we want later in the draft, low elites, medium elites, etc. There are a lot of medium league goalies in this draft. We won't be scamming the system to get a bunch of them. I would think maybe we take one of the medium elites and one who we have pinned at low elite. Right here, Jackman, and then maybe one of Sawatsky and Wesley. But there are a lot of medium elites. I'm not going to be scanning the system to get just a whole organization full of medium elite goalies. I wouldn't mind drafting a bit more than we need so that we can trade them to teams who need them in trades later on. But again, I don't want to scam the system too badly. So all that being said, let's head into the draft. I don't think we have any trades to make at the draft. If we end up letting Noah Hannafin walk, I think I'd rather just let him walk because things aren't, there's no room for him, as opposed to forcing a trade now just to get like a 7th round pick back. I'd rather wait and see what we can figure out as a contract in the re-sign phase. No teams want to trade their pick in the top 9. The 10th overall pick is the first one up for grabs as the Canadians have it on the block. If we sim the first overall pick, it's a franchise player going first, medium franchise, similar to Wayne Gretzky was the player type, or the player comparison. Playmaker, 87 passing, nothing crazy right now, but with that medium franchise potential, you'll see 90 within a season or two. Aikson going to the Kings in our division, unfortunately, as the Kings won the draft lottery. Penguins get Samuel Elliott, 80 overall sniper at 2nd overall. And number 3, the Islanders get Kuleshov, 80 overall medium elite playmaker. So there you have it. So if we sim to pick 27, I don't think we're trading up at all. And when we looked at the draft class at the guys who are, the guys who are in that 15 range or whatever, no one really stands out with potential or NHL ETA. So simming to 27 works fine by me. I have no issue with that. Let's see who went here in round number 1. Any interesting gems? Medium elites in the top there, medium top 4D, top 6 forwards. Right away from pick 7, it's medium top 6 forwards who you could get in the round number 2. High top 6D, ouch. These medium top 6 forwards, you can get these in round 2. No outstanding overalls either, really, to me. Yeah, it's not the strongest class, it seems like, for the middle of the first round. By the way, Sveshkov on the block there for the Nashville Predators. We've been thinking about Sveshkov a lot, actually. Let me just take a quick time out. Again, just doing due diligence. We've been thinking about Sveshkov for a couple of years. He was a free agent. Nashville re-signed him. He was a free agent again. Nashville signed him again, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did a couple of one-year contracts. Sveshkov would be a great second-line centerman. He is such a good two-way forward with a 5-star defense, 90 face-offs. Maybe he could be that second-line centerman we're looking for if we're going to say Pettersson first-line wing, Markstrom first-line center, then Lundqvist first-line wing as well. That would leave a second line of 3 of 4 of Sveshkov, Ratu, Lekkerimäki, and Tippett. So who of those 4 gets bumped to the second line? That would be the question. That's what wouldn't really work in my mind. We've tried Ratu on the third line. He had like a 40-point season. We put him back on the second line. He scored 65 points. So in my mind, we got to keep Ratu in the top 6. I don't see a world where we can bump down Tippett or Lekkerimäki either, really. So Sveshkov would be a great acquisition for us for a lot of different reasons, but he is an expiring UFA, I believe. Oh, no, he has... that's why. Let me just cancel everything I just said. 4 by 10.5, basically. Huge extension for him. As an 88 overall, it's not crazy in 2031. Okay, I did my due diligence. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that one. No. But for anyone who's curious in Sveshkov, at least we took a little look at him. All right, so here at pick number 27, this is interesting. Aiden Baker, medium top 6, is listed potentially 18th by our scouts. 3 years away, he's going to be an average 63, 65 overall medium top 6 guy. Doesn't really stand out the most to me. I'd rather take the gem with the ace shooting. So I think we'll trade down to maybe 33, 34. If we go to round 2, the Penguins want to trade their pick. So this was what? This is 34? Yeah, we can go to 34. I don't mind going to 34. I don't want to trade with a rival necessarily in the Flames. So 27 for 34. What could the Penguins toss in? I would consider putting Chinnikov in the deal, but we got him from Pittsburgh, so it wouldn't make as much sense. No, would you do 1/4 for that trade up? Not even, eh? It's ridiculous. Other way around, they'd be laughing at you. Oh, a second and a 5th. Not even. A 6th round pick to move up. There we go. We get a 6th round pick out of it. That's one more low elite prospect in the system, I suppose. So that player was medium top 6, 65 overall, exactly as I predicted. Aiden Baker. A fine prospect, but I'd rather get an extra low elite and move down to 34, and there you go. So Nurminen goes, thank goodness. Our guy should still be here at 34, and he is. Kuka. Tero Kuka from the Malmo Redhawks of the SHL. Welcome to the organization, Bello. You are medium top 6, 66 overall. Great, with 3-star shooting out of the draft. That is fine by me. Could it be that nothing really special ever comes from these players, kind of like the Goldmans and the Browns of the world that we got in the second round? For sure. But I'm going to take a chance on the 3-star shooting, even though it's 1.5-star for a few other things. We'll see what happens with Kuka in the Canucks organization. Udovic goes next. Yeah, we were thinking about him as well on defense, but just we've been burned so many times by defensemen in like early second round. It seems as though you have to get like a top 5 pick or like a 5th round plus gem to be a defenseman. It's as if there's no 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks who are on defense. Plus, if you look at the bottom, in our organization, we do have a lot of defensemen. Even though they're not panning out, we do have a lot of them. So I don't mind not taking a defenseman with a 2nd round pick. Keefe goes 66 overall, medium top 6. Almost identical stats. Just an extra half star for the puck skills for Cameron Keefe. So nothing too different there. Okay, so next pick is at number 64. We wanted to say Voinov, I believe, right? There's going to be a lot of other good players to go here. We can't take them all, unfortunately. We don't have a ton of trade value to play around either. At 64, so there is going to be a couple of medium goalies that will let pass us by. And we'll take... Is Voinov still going to be here? Yeah, at 74. We can even trade down a little bit for Voinov. So yeah, let's sim to our pick first and see who's there. At 64... the Kraken want to give us Brock Faber and a 5th for pick number 64. Brock Faber, not quite the same Brock Faber in this universe, but in NHL 25, he'll be great. So low top 6, low top 4, medium elite goalies, as we said, no problem. Last pick of the 2nd round, we could go with Tuomo Antila, offensive defenseman. 3 years away, that's interesting, but same thing for even Sauer as a low top 4D. But we want to go for our guy Voinov. We have as a medium elite guaranteed Sergei Voinov at 74. So let's trade down maybe to 72 or so. 73 is a bit risky, so we'll trade with the Sharks. Is it for 69? No, for 70. Okay, we'll trade for pick 70 then. Only moving down 6 picks, so can we even get anything out of that? We'll have 78 as well. Can I get a 7th out of this, San Jose, just for a little joke? No. So I will give you 78. So we'll trade 64 and 78 for 70. I'd almost trade you Chinnikov too, but again, in the division, I don't know. What can I take back? Can I take 88? 64 and 78 for 70 and 88? No, I need a little bit more than that. Maybe 102 as well. So I move back 6 picks here. I move back 10 picks here, and I get a 4th out of it as well. Just a bit low for us. Okay, so we'll try... a 5th and a 7th. What do you say to this, San Jose? Okay, just the 5th. Sorry to bother you. Just the 5th. Okay, so with this pick here, the Sharks go ahead and select. Let's see. The low top 4D, no problem. We sim to pick 70 now. Between there, low top 6, nothing crazy there. Sauer, low top 4D. Now with pick 70, we take our guy, Sergei Voinov, mediumly two-way forward, 18 years old, out of Russia. Gonna be a big project with the e-skating. Yeah, he'll be like a 50-some overall, but I'm always happy to get medium elite potential in the system. 51 overall, Sergei Voinov, welcome to the team. All right, long project, but we'll see what happens. Now, if we sim to pick 88, and we pass through all the medium top 9s, medium top 6Ds, the one low top 4D, yeah, we should be okay to go to 88, maybe even trade down from 88. So going to pick 88, and then seeing who the Sharks took at 78, they took this guy medium top 9 Metropolitan. So fine by me to get the extra 5th out of that trade. At 88, do we like anybody here? Low top 6, Caden Foss, 18-year-old, 6'3" sniper, A- shooting. I don't mind that from the Tri-City Americans. Might not be a bad option for us, but we need some centermen. Where are the centermen in this draft? Always the wings. We're going to take low elite Ned Campbell at 110. But until then, who else is pinned in the system? More wingers. Always the wingers. Ned Campbell we'll get later. Then we have some late guys that we can get. But I'm going to go with Foss. I think Foss is a decent pick for us there. Low top 6, no one else really stands out to me at all. There could be Karpovtsev, B shooting for him 4 years away. Yeah, it seems as though this is like the last player of this echelon of prospect. Caden Foss, welcome to the organization. You are 63 overall, low top 6 with 2.5 stars shooting. Okay, I'll take it. 6'3". Caden Foss, not bad. Next pick at 128 now. So we'll want to trade for 106-ish. And this is where I think I'll move Chinnikov. I'm interested in keeping Rasmussen. Chinnikov's not bad, but the wings are just so full. He was okay to end the season, 7 points in 19 games. Playoffs, 11 and 22. That was much better. But if anyone stays, it's probably Rasmussen. Chinnikov was okay. Thanks for getting us the cup. Enjoy your ring. But I'm going to send you to the Eastern Conference, the Canadians. We're going to take a 4th-round pick back, plus a little bit more, because we need some late picks to try to get those last gems. Could I get a couple 7th this year? and a 7th next year as well, just like a 4th and 3/7. Would that be crazy? Hey, okay, great. And it's not cheering in the streets either. So a 4th and 3/7. Thank you, Montreal. That gives us some more picks now. I don't have to move my pick at 128 either. We'll trade some of these picks for picks next year if we have too many, blah, blah, blah. But for now, we'll go to pick number 106 and take the Hungarian, was that it? The Hungarian centerman? There he is, the low elite Hungarian centerman, Ned Campbell from the Grizzlies Wolfsburg of the DEL. 5 years away, but you like that potential at this pick. 53 overall, low elite. Thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. Nothing special in the attributes, but let's hope for some growth. We need some centermen in the system. Next pick at 128 now. Do we like anybody between now and 128? Not really. This medium elite goalie, but we're not going to be taking him either. He's not one of the ones we have targeted. We could probably trade down from 128. Yeah, let's go to 128 first and see from there, as it's the last pick of the round. We could take Michel Moreau, medium top 6 centerman, 19 years old, 5 years away. It doesn't bode well. If in a D league that you score only 36 points, Michel Moreau. We need centerman, but is it worth using a pick? We would trade down anyways. I'm going to say let's do it. Looking at the rest of the class, we've now in our next pick and all that. And we have enough picks for the guys who, well, we have enough. We have enough picks to get a good number of the guys we have pinned. I'm going to say let's do it. Michel Moreau. Not a guy that I was targeting initially, but a centerman, medium top 6 potential. Yes, he's 5 years away, but maybe he becomes something. We need centerman in our system. Donc, bienvenue Michel, 54 overall. What do we got here for him? Sniper, half star and a half. Okay, spend a couple more years, or at least one more in the QMJHL. We'll see what happens. All right, hey, even this pick's at 134. I didn't realize it was that soon. So yeah, nothing. Now, so we'll use 128 for Moreau, and we'll trade down from 134. There you go. Because now our last picks are all like 200-plus guys. All guys in the 200-plus range. So if that's the case, we could trade 134 and 192, keep these 3 picks, and trade these 2 maybe for 2 or, I don't know, 3 more? Maybe? Let's find a team who has a bunch of 7ths, maybe. So Buffalo's the only team in the league with 2 7ths because we traded them our 7th originally. Could I give you a 5th and a 6th for 2 7ths this year and a 6th next year? Essentially, we swap a 6th this year for a 6th next year, and I give you a 5th for 2 7ths. What do you say here, Buffalo? Of course. Why would that make any sense, right? A 5th for 2 7ths. Why would that make any sense? Sorry, what am I thinking? I'll swap you back the Canadian 7th. Oh, no, maybe I'll just take out... Yeah, we'll take out the 6th next year, make it a 7th next year. So for 3 7ths, let's try that. A 5th and a 6th for 3 7ths. Why would I offer you such a disgusting deal? I'm sorry about that. I don't know what got into me. Can I take Drew Hellison from you? Great. Not too much to deliberate about this. I think the Buffalo fans will... Can I do a fine trade now for Hellison? Does anyone in the league want Hellison? If I offer his rights to anybody? Hey, and look at that. At least, any for picks? Any for picks? No, none for picks. We could get the rights to like a Nugent Hopkins or something. That's interesting. What if I offer you Hellison and Couturier? Anyone in the league want to give me that for Nugent Hopkins? All right, and I add in Neighbors. I don't know. Can I get a 7th from somebody here? Couturier. How about Hellison and Neighbors? Nothing. Just Neighbors. What do you got? Nothing. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. How about Peak? Is probably too expensive, eh? We had said. Just Peak straight up. Anybody in the league? Anybody want to give us a pick here? Nobody. Crazy. Here are 4 players, rights to 4 players. Okay, 4 wasn't enough here. The rights to 5 players. Here are the rights to 5 players. Can I have a 7th? Oh my goodness. Plus Neighbors, how about that? No, okay, forget it. What a sad game. What a sad, sad game. Okay, pick number 194 now. So we have a few picks. We gotta be careful with who we select, because from now to the end of the draft, we're gonna just hold on to the picks that we have. No more that we can pick up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more picks now. So 5 more selections. That doesn't mean that we get everybody, if I remember correctly. So looking at who's pinned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we get 5 out of 7. Demers, I'm going to say forget him. So I'm just going to unpin. There you go. So just looking at who's pinned. Between the 2 goalies, they're both 18, 6'3", 6'4". One's a gem. Maybe we say never mind to Jackman then. Never mind the low elite Jackman. We unpin him. That leaves us down to 6 now. Oh, no, sorry, that brings us down to 5. Okay, so this could be our 5 then. So forget the low elite goalie. We'll just take the 2 medium elites. So Cole Wesley goes first from the QMJHL, the Victoriaville Tigers. 54 overall medium elite. We go to pick 202. Then we take the next goalie who we had said. Because that's good. He may not have been there. because he won't be there if we wait any longer. Sawatsky's going to go now. Yes, Sawatsky, 47 overall medium elite. Okay. Pick 212. Good thing we had some good value in this draft. The scouts did okay with this late value. Next will be Martikainen. Offensive defenseman with low elite potential. We'll pick him up at 49 overall, low elite. Then 219. We'll get, was it Odell the next one? Looking at the watch list. Yeah, Odell. No, it would be Platt. Tristan Platt, the next one. 17-year-old, power forward, 5 years away, low elite potential again. And then finally, he's 50 overall. And finally, with the last pick in the draft, we take Mr. Odell, the good Irish boy from the USA. Oh, actually playing in the QMJHL, the Baie-Comeau Drakkar, Sean Odell, low elite, and he is 49 overall. Beautiful. So a busy draft at the end of things. At the top, we get Kuka at 34, Voinov medium elite at 70. Foss and Moreau were surprises, but Campbell, Wesley, Sawatsky, Martikainen, Platt, and Odell were some guys we had pinned thanks to our good drafting throughout the year. I put literally like hours into it, so I'm glad that we can get a few good extra prospects. I'm not upset with that at all. I put in the work and I get the results, so I'm okay with having that many low elites at the end of things. So we'll have to re-sign a few scouts. I think our coaches are good, and we'll get to the re-sign phase here in just a moment. Okay, so ready for the re-sign phase now. Let's see what players are asking for, especially Noah Hannafin and Michael Rasmussen. I'll be very curious. So that leaves us now with $26.675 million, as Chinnikov's also gone. Michael Rasmussen, what are you looking for after a strong postseason? That's a much more reasonable ask. That's a much more reasonable ask. I don't want to go 3 years on him. I'd be cautious to even go 2 years, honestly. I'd be cautious to go 2 years, but I think I will. I think it makes more sense for him to say, I had a good postseason. I want to have a little bit of security. So I'm not going to fully 85% it at 5.25. That brings it to 2.14. But I'm going to try 2.25. Even 2.35. I think that's fair for him. 2.35 for 2 years. His regular season pace was nothing special. Good postseason, which gets you a contract. 2 years at 2.35. Let's see if he likes it. All right. Now on to Noah Hannafin. Do you want to stay here for another year as a veteran at $5 million? Let's see, at 4.9, 85% brings it to 4.165. So 1 year at 4.25. Let's see if he likes that to stay on as a third pair, maybe second pair emergency kind of thing. 4.225 for 1 year. Noah Hannafin, what do you say to that as a veteran on this squad? Andrew Peak, no, $5 million. He wants Noah Hannafin money. Andrew Peak will walk. Thank you for your 2 seasons here, Andrew. Congratulations on your Stanley Cup ring. Thanks for helping us out. 17 points and a plus 14 through 2 seasons. Eating some fair numbers. In the postseason, he had 4 points in 39 games. His first postseason experience of his career. 4 points and a plus 10. And he blocked and hit quite a bit, eh? Postseason 35 hits, 47 blocks. Above 80 hits and around 80 blocks per season with us. So Andrew Peak, thank you for your service here. We enjoyed having you. All the best in your future. Sean Couturier, I'm not sold on keeping him. We'll come back to it. Jake Neighbors has been here for a little while now. He doesn't want a lot to stay. He's been here for a little while now. It would be okay. It was just 2 seasons actually. Now that I think about it, he's been okay as depth. So maybe I'm gonna think about him too. Drew Hellison was just a contract toss, and what are you saying? You want $2 million? So Drew Hellison will walk. Lebedev will get him signed on. He's an RFA, so it shouldn't be hard. Actually, might want. Let's do 3 years right now, maybe. He wants 2 years at 1.2. Maybe 2 years makes more sense, but then he'd be a UFA. But does he ever become anything more than a 7th D? That's the question. So yeah, we should probably stick at 2 years. 1.25 gets him down to. Let's go 2 years at 1.1. So 2.2 million for 2 years, 1.1 as his AAV. Let's see what Lebedev thinks about that. Worst case, we just qualify him. Akuratu definitely has to stay. A bit more than I want to pay him, but I like what he brings to the team. So it'll be 1 year at 1.25. We'll see what he says. Montoya's going to get his entry-level deal. 4th round pick back in 2029. He's been very good in the juniors, so we'll keep him. Well, we'll sign him, and we'll see where it goes from there. Dylan Montoya's going to be fighting for an NHL spot. Arvidsson, Quint needs his contract. Quint's just another guy who refuses to grow. 1st round pick, 29th overall, 77 overall out of the draft. 3 years later, still 77 overall, or whatever you want to say, 2.5 years later, whatever you want to say exactly. Actually, yeah, I should be going. I'll take a lot of care of most of those guys off screen. I'm thinking about the big ones. Goaltending now. Suchanek will walk. We just got him as a toss into a trade, so Suchanek will walk. Muller will get a contract. Zubov and Bykov will both get entry-level deals. But Leonov and Muller. So Leonov wants... Yeah, he wants starter money. So Leonov just can't stay. So Leonov, as much as I want to keep him, I can't give that kind of money to a backup. So Leonov will be qualified and we'll trade him. Muller will be signed, but he has to grow a little bit in overall if he wants to make the team as NHL backup. So I'm going to qualify him. I don't want to give him a one-way deal for 1.2 or something. I'm going to qualify you, and hopefully you fight for the NHL backup spot by growing a little bit to 79, 80 overall by the time the season starts. Rainer Muller, related to AGM Alfred Muller, of course. So let's advance a day and see where that brings us now. Easy decision from Hannafin. That's great news. I've always wanted to play with a top-ranked team, even though I played with you for the last 8 years, or 7 years. Easy decision from Rasmussen as well. Great. Let's see. He wants the duration. Ratu doesn't like the duration. Lebedev says yes. Zubov, Bykov, great. Okay, so those are the major ones, honestly. Still 21.9 million to play with. So the money isn't as tight. I said it was a bit tight at the beginning of the episode, but I meant more just the lineup spots. So I'll go through the rest of the UFAs and RFAs here, signing the unsigned guys. Siegel, Kudryavtsev, I'm not sure if they're all going to stick for the AHLs. The AHLs are becoming a bit more packed now. The RFAs will get signed on. I'll take care of these and be back in a sec. Okay, so all the RFAs just get qualified because they all want one-way deals for 1.2 million, just the classic glitch there. I'm going to give Ratu 2 years at 1.25 and see if he likes that same money, but for the extra year of duration. Maybe that makes him a little bit happier. Valette, Alto, Ratu wants more money. Come on, Kravchenko. Okay, so now it leaves me with questions like this. Do we keep a guy like Jake Neighbors or Sean Couturier as 13th, 14th, whatever, forward? Jared McIsaac, does he stay on as a 7th D kind of guy too? If he wants 1 year, one way, 900K, I'll do it. But if he says, I'm not happy with my ice time, blah, 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 I'm not going up to $1 million plus. So 1 year, 900K on Jared McIsaac. Ratu, I'm not going to break my back for him. I can get you in free agency if I have to. So you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Ratu, I'm releasing. I'll see you on July 1st. I'm not going to play games with your AI brain. Roni, we need centerman in our system. What did he do this year? Nothing crazy. 45 points, Topi Roni. So we'll release you for now. We'll come back to seeing when we need centerman in the AHL when the season starts. Siegel, we had drafted him. No, we got him from the Flames in some way. But I think we have a lot of defense this year. So I'm going to release, and we'll figure it out when the season rolls around. RFAs are qualified. Goalies are signed on / qualified. It just comes down to the depth here with Couturier and Neighbors. Sean Couturier, bottom 6 potential. He might even regress further. I'm going to say we release Sean Couturier. Thank you for your time with us, Mr. Couturier. And now Jake Neighbors. He's a guy I like, but not a guy that I'm sure we'd be able to keep. So I'm going to offer him 1 year, 1 million, one way. If he likes it, he takes it. If not, both he and McIsaac can move on. So let's see what they have to say about that. Neighbors, not interested, not because of the minutes he played last season. Goodbye. But Jared McIsaac does sign on. So Neighbors will leave. McIsaac will stay. And that leaves us with 22 million moving into free agency. We don't want to spend too much of that because Lundqvist is going to need his extension. Dobson will need his extension. Pettersson will need his extension. Hunter Jones will need an extension. So yeah, there's a lot of players who are going to be needing some money in the very near future. Okay, so that does it for the re-sign phase. Let's move now to July 1st and see who's out there for free agency. Pro Scout, thank you very much. Contract limit warning, thank you very much. And here we are on July 1st. Before we even look at the free agent pool, we are eligible to offer those players extensions now, just to quickly get an idea of what they're looking for. Elias Pettersson coming off the Conn Smythe would be wanting 4 years at 12.225. We'd have $42 million in extension dollars right now. So that'll be a tough one, but we'll definitely want to get him signed. Noah Dobson coming off of a crazy year. I don't want to offer him 9 million just yet. Lundqvist, do we want to get him signed ASAP? He wants his big contract, But we could go 4 years. We can wait on Lundqvist. We can wait on him a little bit. And the rest of the players, we can wait mostly as well. So nothing to do right now. Maybe Hunter Jones, making 2.5. He wants 5.7. We'll wait on him as well. What I'll do now is just hire any better scouts, and then we'll check out the free agent pool. All right, scouting contracts sent out. Now just quickly to review what possible positions might we have open. Looking at the forward, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if you're including Beaulieu and Montoya. That would be 12. And then even still in the mix would be Sador, Brown. I don't think Dominguez, or probably Sador Brown. So I'm thinking that's about 14 players fighting for 12 spots. 2 or 3 won't make it, plus Akuratu to be the true 13th forward. You're not going to have someone with potential sit as 13th forward. I think that's an okay spot for the forwards. I don't think we need to add anybody there, especially considering we moved out Chinnikov and kept Rasmussen. Now for defense, 1, 2, 3, 4 being Bouillon, 5 and 6 being Hanifin and Wallace, Lebedev being 7. Maybe we didn't need McIsaac then in the end. I forgot about Lebedev because last year Lebedev was in the AHL. So maybe McIsaac can be traded away then. So we wouldn't really be in the market for a defenseman either. Are we in the market for a backup goalie potentially? Because Rainer Muller, would he be ready, or do we have to force him to be ready no matter what? And worst case, we just trade. I don't know. We trade for somebody later on in the year. It's a hard question. So my offer him is 1 year, 0.825 now that he's qualified and now he's open to listening to logic. Now that the clock is struck 12 on July 1st, his AI brain is willing to listen to logic. This guy's AI brain is not. Arvidsson. Is Frolov's AI brain willing to listen to logic? Yes, it is. There you go. 0.825 for 1 year. Kelly's AI brain is willing to listen to logic. You love to see that. And finally, Sereda. Is his AI brain listening to logic? Yes, it is. So now we'll look at the free agency pool, but as we said, no position we're really desperate to fill. Would there be a player available who forces us to want to have a position to fill? Well, we'll see. So July 1st, 2031, looking at the UFA market sorting by overall. David Pastrnak at a 95 overall. After losing the cup in Boston, he's available in free agency. He wants a 1-year deal. That would be crazy to sign him on. But again, who gets pushed out of the top 6? That was the same question we had with Sveshkov. Who gets pushed out of the top 6? Probably nobody. It would have to be a trade. It would have to be that a guy like Tippett or somebody gets traded out. But there's no reason to have to trade a guy who's consistently showing us 60, 65-point seasons. Thomas, Bratt, a lot of, really Grigson, 89 overall. A lot of players who are wanting big double-digit contracts. Pierre-Luc Dubois only wants $3.6 million as an 87 overall. Did he have a horrible season? 45 points and a negative 22 with LA. Tough times for PLD, playing just 14, 25 ice time. So he would be our third-line center potentially if we were looking for that to be filled. But with Rasmussen and with Tyupkin there, I don't think we need to fill third-line center. We'll look at that again in a moment. Nemec, Horvat. Actually, if we look just at forwards first, I should say. Horvat, Verana, Bolduc, Forsberg. Older players, some guys who are on decent asks. As Reinhardt coming back would be interesting at 4.625. Caden O'Brien, here he is in free agency. Good old Caden O'Brien, legend. So we had traded him to Winnipeg. He went to the Rangers at the deadline. 3 points in 20 games. Wow, that playing fourth-line minutes, but still. Caden O'Brien available here, former Canuck. Teravainen, former Canuck. Bertuzzi. A lot of names out here, but the question is, where do they go? On defense, we see Nemec. If we were needing to fill that left side, in the end, we were thinking about Anderson and Haig and guys like that. Look, they'd be wanting even more than we signed Noah Hanifin for. 5.5, 6 point whatever. Was for Hervey even out here in the end? No, not even. So we probably would have to settle. Look, Jake Middleton wants $6.2 million. This game's crazy. Maybe this guy Francis Schwartz would have been interesting, but 145 penalty minutes, forget it. 86 discipline, but 145 penalty minutes. Now, we did the right thing with Hanifin. If we want a defenseman, we need to draft or trade. Signing out of free agency is just going to be a disaster. Heinola wants $5 million as an 81 overall. The game becomes broken at a certain point. That's why we're not ending it yet, but this series has to end eventually because it just becomes too impossible to run your series. When you have 80 overalls wanting $3.8 million, it doesn't work. And for goaltenders here, we see Shesterkin, 90 overall Shesterkin, who we eliminated on the Coyotes. What a season he had. Augustine at 86. No one that I would want to say we move out Hunter Jones for. But we do see Akira Schmid, who we had for a little bit at wanting league minimum as an 82 overall. But we got to give Muller a chance, I would think. If we look at, just the UFAs for all skaters and sorting by potential. Any young players out here? No one that really strikes me, honestly. Sogis? Who's this guy? Braxton Sogis. 94th overall pick in 2026. Playmaking centerman, 92 overall. Low elite depth forward. Did he play in the NHL last year? He did, 30 points. Would he be willing to have an AHL contract? I wonder. He wants a one-way deal. Would he take 1 year to a max two-way deal for 1 year? If he wants it, it's because he wants to find retribution in his career. But if not, that's fine. But if he wants to be first-line center down in the AHL, I'd give him that. As an 80, as a depth forward who could maybe grow a bit, I'd give him that if he wants it. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. No one else that really stands out to me. Plus, we don't know who's going where in the AHL, the NHL. So I don't want to fill spots and have to just make trades later. I will go out and look for Akuratu, though, now. We want to get him for a 13th forward. We know and love him. And there he is, wanting 1 year at 1.5. He was not willing to take 1 year prior. So okay, the demand doesn't change. So I'll go 1 year at 1.35, I suppose, staying in the 85% range. 1 year, 1.35. We're going to have over 20 million. We're going to have a lot of money to spend into our extension window next year. But for this next season, are we even above the cap floor? We need to trade Leonov. Maybe we take back a bad contract. Yeah, we need to get above the cap floor, I think. So we got to do something. It's crazy to think that we're in such a good position. Coming off of a Stanley Cup, we have over 20 million in cap space. I think we can advance a few days here, no problem. Cody Hay signs on. Elise Hedman, there you go. So there are 2 scouts joining the organization. Let's advance here. Tsogus rejected, barking up the wrong tree. If you think I'll ever sign a 2-way deal, sorry to offend you. Qualifying offer, blah, 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 good. Contract, bye-bye, Aku. Sereda, Flora, Frolov, blah, 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 great. A few days later, has Aku changed his tune? No, still wants 1 year, 1.5. So I'll come back in a couple days for Aku, I suppose. But while we're here, I should look at trading Leonov. It's not going to be for much value anyways. And actually, the Islanders need a goalie. They're a rebuilding team, right? So the Islanders, maybe, yeah, go ahead. I'll send Leonov to you. You need a young goaltender who could be your goalie of the next few years. So Leonov will go be a starter with the Islanders. That's great news for them. I won't take much value back because Leonov has no value really to give. Can I get a 4th round pick from you so you can have a goalie for the next few seasons here? Not even. That's not even worth it to you. I know you're a selling team, but you need a goalie. 5th round pick rejected. 2 7th round picks. Can we get 2 7th round picks for a starting goaltender? No. 7th round pick? No. Sweden just a touch? A 7th round pick? How could this be? Oh my goodness. I'll give you a 7th for a 5th, okay? Because you don't even have a 6th. Can I give you a 7th for a 5th? Okay. If I didn't accept this trade of yours, the fans would be calling my... Okay, so we basically swap a 7th for a 5th to move out Leonov. We now have a 1st, a 2nd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th. So no 3rd, no 7th in this next year's draft. But it's better than no 3rd, no 5th. So now we have no 3rd, no 7th in this 2032 draft coming up. All right, so Ilya Leonov, thank you for your service here with the Canucks. We just didn't have the money to... Well, we had the money, but we didn't want to give you that kind of money. Moving into the extensions that we'll have to sign into next season, we're not going to have $4 million, $5 million for a backup. We're definitely not going to have that. But with all this space, it makes me think maybe we should start looking at some of those extensions. Will they really change much within the next year? Like, Pettersson needs his contract no matter what. 94 overall, Conn Smythe Trophy. 4 years at $10.5 million would not be disrespectful. I don't want to cheese it, where, okay, now he comes down to wanting 11, we get him into the 8s or 9s. He shouldn't be taking a pay cut. He's making $9.5 million now. I'll give you $10.5 million for the next 4 years, doing right by him, paying him till he's 36, or even 37 if you count it as an extension. But I think it makes sense to do right by him. If there's anyone that we should sign now, it's probably Pettersson. So 4 years at 10.5 for him. Dobson's another interesting one as well, but who knows if he continues that crazy pace. Hopefully he does, but if not, he's back to being a 40-point defenseman. He's not worth 10+ million. So we'll wait on Dobson. We'll wait on Lundqvist as an RFA. We don't need to sign Hannafin. McIsaac we could even trade. No one else we need to really worry about too much. Hunter Jones is a question mark because if he has another good season, he'll want even more than 5.7. So it's always tough to commit long to a goaltender. But we don't have anyone in the system ready to take his spot within the next year or two, so 3 years wouldn't be bad. 4.875. I hate giving money to goaltenders. 4.875 isn't crazy, especially for what he's done for our franchise so far. So I'm going to try it. 3 years on Hunter Jones. It's not a horrible amount. It's not like he's wanting 6 or 7. So we'll see what Pettersson and Jones say to those contract offers. But aside from that, let's advance a few more days to see if Akuratu's demand comes down. And easy decision from Hunter Jones. Okay, good news. And easy decision from Elias Pettersson. Okay. So we'll stop there, but good to have a little bit of money figured out for next season so we're not having such a big void. Now it's 28.625 to play with a couple less names to sign on. So Hunter Jones extends and Elias Pettersson extends. That's great news. Ratu's demands are now down to 1.475. So let's see, now will he take 1.35? What do you say now, Aku? So we'll see what he says there. A few more days. Then we can finally say, let's call it an off-season. Okay, extremely happy to accept the offer. Go-to man, beautiful. Go-to as 13th forward, yes, no problem, Aku. So Aku Ratu back on board, that's great news. Now we'll see what will offseason growth bring us and what AHL positions will have to be filled come September. I don't want to oversign now and then it's an issue. Already now we probably have to trade out McIsaac. So I don't want to oversign anybody else just yet until we know who's growing, who's in the AHL, who's in juniors, etc. Our very last thing to do is to set the draft class and generated prospect quality headed into the 2031-32 season. What I always do is randomize a number between 1 and 100. Sometimes we say 1 to 20 is low or 1 to 30 is low, then 20 or 30 to 70 or 80 is medium, then 70 or 80 to 100 is high. But if memory serves me right, I forgot to do this last offseason. So we've had back-to-back years of high draft class quality with low generated prospect quality. So to increase the chances of having a medium class, as we probably should after back-to-back years of high-low, I'm going to say 1 to 15 will be low, 16 to 84 will be medium, and 85 to 100 will be high. So the chance is still there, but it's much more likely that it'll be medium class. So if I randomize a number now on my computer, I get 60 for draft class quality. So that'll be a medium draft class quality at 60. And for generated prospect quality, I get 30. So it will be medium. All right, that's exactly what I wanted. The chance was there for it to be high or low still, but we get 60 and 30, medium for draft class quality and generated prospect quality, as it probably should be after back-to-back high-low draft classes. So all that being said, we can finally advance to the beginning of 2031-32 and check out our lineup at the preseason to see what kind of growth was had. Everybody eat well, enjoy your day with the cup, have a restful offseason, and we'll see you at training camp. So here we are to begin 2031-32, looking at this lineup, and I already see some changes. So I'll go ahead and place everybody where I think they would fit best and see where we're going from there. So here is our potential lineup to begin year number 9 in Vancouver. Lundqvist at a 90 overall with Pettersson and Lekkerimäki with a +3. All right. Tippett, Markstrom, and Ratu on the second line. As we were saying at the start of the episode, we want, in a perfect world, to get Markstrom onto that top line. How does that look? That's the question. Does he replace Lekkerimäki and Pettersson goes to the wing? Does he replace Pettersson and they swap? But then who goes second line center? These are the questions. On the third line, Dylan Montoya up to an 80 overall now, medium top 6 potential, listed as a fourth line forward, but he's a playmaker with 89 passing. I like those attributes for him. The 4-star defense is really good as well, 4.5-star physical. So I wouldn't mind trying him on the third line. Hopefully it overall grows with time over the course of the season. Back-to-back 111 plus point seasons in the WHL. Crazy numbers from the 4th round pick. One of our gems, I would think, in our series so far. With Tiyupkin as third line center, Tiyupkin was a 2nd round pick in 2030. He started the season with us last year, 1 assist in 9 games. He was a -2. Didn't have much ice time. We said, hey, let's send him down. He scored 55 points in 68 games in the AHL. Now he's getting another chance with us in the NHL. And Michael Rasmussen on the right wing as an 83. On the 4th line, Podkolzin, Goldman, and Raphael Beaulieu, the 6'5" enforcer, the last pick of the 2027 draft, 5-star physical, 99 strength, and on top of that, hey, 4-star puck skills, 4-star defense. This guy could be interesting. 23 points in 72 games in the AHL last year, 105 penalty minutes, but that's with limited ice time. I want to see him in the NHL 4th line role now, so I'm very curious to see how Raphael Beaulieu does. In the QMJHL, he had 78 points in 63 games in his last year there, so you never know. Listed as a 4th line forward, this could be very, very interesting. So there are the forwards. On defense now, Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronik still our top pair, but Hronik from the start of last season, I believe he was either an 86 or an 87 to start last season, slowly went down over the course of the year. Now he's an 84 with top 6 deep potentials. That might go down even further. Second pair, Dobson and Bouillon. He's grown to a 79 overall, so he's still not growing very much. Still just a 3-star defense. Nothing that really stands out attribute-wise aside from his good skating. So that is upsetting to see him only at a 79. Do we try him there, or do we pull the plug right now? That's a question for us. On the third pair, Hanifin at an 82, that's great, and Christian Wallace already up to an 80 overall, high top 4 deep potential, former 5th overall pick of the Blackhawks. We got him in the Evan Bouchard deal. 5-star puck skills, great attributes all around, already better than Bouillon in a lot of different ways you would think. Last year in the OHL, 52 points in 59 games. He is the future of the right side. You would think Dobson and Wallace in some permutation is on the second pair. The second pair, the top 4 of the future might be Hughes, Dobson on the first pair, pair, then fill in the blank on the left and Wallace on the right. That might be the future, but for now, we're still rolling like this. Hanifin at an 82, he's going to be fine in that role. Does he potentially slot up? But then Bouillon, not a super great fit with Wallace on the third pair. That's the problem. On top of problems on defense, we also have a big surprise as Stefan Arvidsson has grown to an 80 overall. We got him as a free agent. We signed him for the AHL squad last year. 34 points in 72 games. Nothing special, but now he's an 80 overall, low elite potential. Offensive defenseman with 98 passing. 5-star puck skills, 89 offensive awareness. That's crazy. So Stefan Arvidsson, he's fighting for 7th D, and so is Oleg Lebedev, who's also a 79 overall with low elite potential, listed as a top 6D. He spent the last 2 years in the AHL, eating pretty solid minutes there, 38, 39 points. He's been good. Do we send Lebedev down for another year in the AHL? Now that we're paying him $1.1 million? I don't know. And Akuratu there as 13th forward. Goaltending, Jones at an 84 and Rainer Muller up to a 79. That's good. Now listed as a backup goalie, so that's good news. But the defense is a massive question mark. If we were to trade out Bouillon, then who plays? Does Hanifin do one more year with Dobson and then Wallace plays with Arvidsson or Lebedev? With Arvidsson, it would be a -2, as they're both offensive defensemen. And with Lebedev, it would be a 0. So just keep that in mind if you're wondering about chemistry combinations. Other players down in the AHL who you may want to see an audition from, Cody Brown still stuck at a 77 overall. Another guy who got drafted with a high overall out of the second round and never grew since. 4-star shooting. He has spent the last 2 years in the AHL, years before that in the WHL. Nothing going much for Cody Brown. Do we give him a chance? I don't know. Perezhogin, the other piece of the Christian Wallace deal from Chicago with Evan Bouchard, he's up to a 72 now. He was a 69, so seeing him at a 72 is good. 18 points in 40 games last year, but this year he will be our first-line center and get massive ice time. Dominguez up to a 77, so that's good. Slow, consistent growth from him. I don't think he's pushing for the NHL this year, but probably the year after this one. Gustavo Kelly, another guy who just hasn't grown, 77 at 23. Frolov's a 76 at 24. Rodrigo Bomek is a guy I'm interested in. 7th round pick, 76 overall, low elite at 21. Maybe we give him the top line minutes. That's also a possibility. Maximilian Gerber, who are these guys down here? Valette is one of our guys, but we could use a couple forwards. These guys are randoms from the AI. The team just added them to our AHL squad. Excuse me. Franklin Quint has grown again to a 78 overall. So from 77 to 78 in like 3 years. So we'll give him top pair in the AHL for this year. Naslin's low elite. Jared McIsaac, we're probably going to just have to trade him. Kravchenko, low elite, 6th round pick. We're going to get some ice time to him. Oscar Markstrom, 6th round pick. We'll give him ice time as low top 4D. And Clifford Sereda, same thing for him. Goaltenders, we have Zubov, Baikov, and Esh, 69, 68, and 67 respectively. All medium elite. Zubov, 22, 69. Baikov, 68, 20, 68. And Esh, 2167. So one of those probably has to move, you would think. So there's the organizational makeup at this point. But don't forget about Sador as well. He was a 78 at the end of the season. He's an unsigned prospect. We'd only sign him if he's ready for the NHL. And after the offseason, he's now a 79 overall. So Junior Sador, 36th overall pick in 2030. Do we give him another year with the Colts in the AHL? I think that's probably most likely as he's listed as a depth forward. Shout out to Alexandrov, who continues to grow. 4th round pick. Again, like I said, guys drafted in the 2nd, 3rd, sometimes even 4th round, junk. Has to be top 5 pick or 4th, 5th, 6th round for your defense. It's crazy. So Alexandrov, Arcabello, Beaufet, some decent growth here from those players. Goalies in our system look like this. Better look at them if you're curious. And there you have it. Zubov, was he the one who yeah, there's going to be mania in Lithuania when he raises the cup. I think was it Dan who left that comment? Somebody had said that great comment. Baikov is Ukrainian, I believe. And Esh is just Canadian. All right, good old Canadian boy. So to end off the episode, ladies and gentlemen, we will just look one last time at the extensions. Moving into the beginning of year number 9, the first half of 2031-32. Looking forward to hearing your suggestions about the lineup and any trades or any contract talks, stuff like that. Frederick Lundqvist would now be looking at, okay, 6 years at 11.6. We could do 4 years on him, closer to 10 million-ish. Or we could go longer term. Because he's going to want, if we do 4 years, by the time he's 24, he'll want big money anyway. So we go long-term on him. Big question on Frederick Lundqvist is we have about 28 million to play with. Noah Dobson is still in that same range. Actually, we could go with 3 years on Dobson, closer to the 7-8 range. Yeah, I'd bring him to 34. I think that'll make a lot more sense than Beaulieu, Bouillon. Beaulieu wants 1.1 for 2 years, and Bouillon wants 2.3 for 3 years to stay as an RFA. Okay, all right. And also there would be Esch, I believe, right? Yeah, Esch. No, Muller, but we can't sign him right now anyways. All right, so while we're at the trade screen, we can go ahead and check out the trade blocks from the NHL. Let's do our due diligence. Here are the trade values on our team if you're curious about the trade value that some players hold. Just scrolling through if you have any curiosity there. Again, our draft pick situation, we have a first, a second, and then a fourth, fifth, and a sixth in the 2032 draft. So sorting by overall now, looking at players who are on the trade block, we see Piero Zabotal, an RFA in Anaheim. Jody Piero Zabotal. We had looked at him when he had been drafted, didn't we? Was it Louis who said that we should have drafted him? He is a defensive defenseman, 32 points in 233 games played, a plus 32. A lot of hits, a lot of blocks for limited ice time, which is good to see as well. Left-handed left side defenseman, which is interesting. We're talking about Bouillon. Do we trade Bouillon for Piero Zabotal type of thing? Was it the same draft where we went Bouillon instead of Piero Zabotal even? Could it be? So that's interesting from the Ducks, sorting by overall. So Olczyk, another guy there in Anaheim. Arizona, nothing too crazy. Again, let me know in the comments or the Discord server if you want to know any more information about any of these players who we passed through. Prospect, nothing in Calgary. Carolina, Sanderson, 1 year left on his deal for Jake Sanderson. Expiring contract. Interesting, Jake Sanderson. Big guy, throws a lot of hits. 30, 40, 50-point guy, depends on the year in the simulation. Career with the Senators. First year in Carolina, already up on the trade block. Okay. Provorov and Fabro as well for the defense. In Chicago, more prospects. Colorado prospects. Columbus prospects. Some better than others. I see Voloshenko at 68 with some more value. Dallas prospects. Detroit. Ooh, Sider on a first year of his big 8-year extension, almost getting $11 million per year. Luke Evangelista on the trade block, 86 overall. Okay. Larkin, Morrissey, Slavin, Costin, Lindstrom, and Benoit. Edmonton Oilers, Pollock, Chikrin, Anderson, who they just signed, Carrier, Simoneau, Anderson, and Fitzgerald. Florida, nobody. LA Kings, Chipchura. Hickman is still here. Would it be too cheese to go for him? I don't know. He had a 39-point season in the AHL. They have him on the block for a reason. They're not happy with Hickman, who is a 76 overall medium league player, 10th overall pick in 2028. Sniper, 3.5-star shooting, only 2-star puck skills. Does interest me, I have to admit. A few other prospects in LA as well. Minnesota, nothing crazy. Montreal, nothing crazy prospects. Nashville, Sveshkov still on the block here. Chernak, Amadio, Melanson, etc., etc. Devils, Texier, Surdif, Comtois, Roy, Co, and a few other names in the depth here. Some only expiring deal being to Alexandre Texier. Good contract as well. Romanov expiring deals, an 85 overall on the Islanders. Peak, who just got signed to a 3x5.225 deal. Timmins and Samberg. Rangers, mostly prospects. Ottawa Senators. Dubois, who they just acquired. Yeah, now I remember. It was Dubois and picks for Sanderson, I think, and he's already on the block here. 3x3.855. Batherson, Teravainen, Kapanen, Madden, Lacombe, Hirvonen on the block there in Ottawa. Konechny, Farabee, Cates, Forsling, Bean, Newhook. A lot of 80-plus overall players on the block for the Flyers, and a decent number of them on expiring deals as well. Pittsburgh, nothing too crazy. The Sharks, nothing. Kraken, Matty Beniers, Vince Dunn, Verana, Besser, Novak, Miller, everybody on the block here in Seattle. A lot of options from the Kraken. St. Louis Blues, Andre and Ferraro. Tampa Bay, Max Domi. Toronto, Eriksson Ek on an expiring deal. Nick Robertson, Dorofeev, Denoyer, and a few other names down the list. A lot of names in Toronto of good and prospects alike. NHL caliber and prospects alike, I should say. Not much in Vegas, not much in Washington. I see Petrovicki down there. Winnipeg, nothing really there either. Okay, so they're the trade blocks around the NHL, ladies and gentlemen. If any of those players stand out to you, be sure to let me know down here in the comments on YouTube or over in our Discord server, link in the description. I don't think there's much to say else. We looked at the lines, we looked at the contracts, we looked at the trade blocks, draft class for this year. We don't know anything about them yet. We'll have 1-2 of Wellwood and Tulipov, Canadian and Ukrainian respectively. I'll get the scouting going. Maybe one last look at free agency. If you're curious about anybody else who's out here, aside from Piero Zabotal, sorting by overall, we could use some players for the AHL system. Maybe we could sign someone with potential like this guy Chubasov, or even Korpikoski. Perhaps. Chubasov for a left side D. Valery Chubasov from X-Tech series. There you go. Love it. Valery Chubasov. Shout out to anybody who got that reference. That was the Stag series, correct? Chubby, what a guy. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for all of our ongoing franchise mode series, our 2 live stream series, live every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check out the Macklin Celebrini Sharks career simulation if you haven't seen it already. We're doing franchise modes, career sims, breaking news and analysis, and breakdowns in the real world of hockey, especially now during the postseason, the draft, and the offseason to come in the real world 2024 NHL season. And as always, much, much more. So thanks again for watching. I'm looking forward to reading all your thoughts headed into year number 9, our first year of a Stanley Cup defense. Last time we won the Cup, we went into our next season thinking, do we still have it? Our core changed? I don't know. But no, this year, our core is only getting stronger, and we want to turn this team into a dynasty. So I'll see you for the beginning of 2031-32.